For those wishing to, please stand. We'll have an opening prayer and then a pledge to our flag.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day and thank you for all you do for us. And Lord, we just ask that you would give us guidance and direction tonight in all that we do and all that we say. Lord, we just pray for this country and pray that you give our leaders direction as well. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll start now with our citizen participation. Anyone that would like to speak on anything not on the agenda, we'd invite you to come forward, sign in, and give us your best 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I appreciate the time. I'm not going to take 5 minutes, be sure of that. But as you probably know, my name is Bob Sutton. I serve as the current presiding commissioner of Greene County. And my term will end here in just a couple of weeks or so. So I've made appointments to go to some of the various city council meetings, primarily just to say thank you. Republic is a rising star in Greene County, let me tell you. You have, over the last few years, you have the leadership in place to do some fantastic things, and it has been just a lot of fun for me to work with primarily the mayor and of course David. I redesigned our domestic violence committee group for the county. David volunteered, so I made him the chairman for the first year, and he's doing a fantastic job. And he and I have gotten to be friends along with the mayor. I still remember that night, not too long ago, last year I guess, where we were out in a place that did not smell very good in the middle of the night with the sewage little problem that was taken care of, but it was taken care of, and that's a fantastic example of the county and the cities working together. And I'm well aware of the fact that Springfield is not the only city in Greene County, and the things you guys have on your plate for the future and things you've already done has just been phenomenal, and it's been such a privilege for me. I love serving as presiding commissioner. It's a great job, and but things happen and for a reason, and so but I did want to come by and just thank you for the things that you do for the City of Republic and for what the City of Republic does for Greene County. And to me, it's always been about relationships, and I spent a lot of my time building relationships with people in the other municipalities around Greene County. It's been a lot of fun, and so I just wanted to say thank you for all you do, the sacrifices you make of your time, and some people may think that the only thing you do is come to a meeting every once in a while, but they don't look at the 20-some hours possibly of research and reading and preparation you have to do every week or two. But and so thank you for what you do, and it's been a privilege for me to be a part of it. Thank you so much. And I am heading to City Council in Fairgrove here in just a couple of minutes, so thank you so much.
Well, sir, we thank you for your service also.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, move on to our consent agenda. I need a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed, no. Abstentions? Okay, vote goes 8-0. Okay, on to board, commission, and committee schedule. The Board of Adjustments next meeting will be January the 3rd, 2019. The next city council meetings will be January the 8th and also the 15th at Fire Station number 1. And planning and zoning will meet January the 14th, 2019. I do have one announcement I want to make here. City council election sign-ups began today. If you're interested in running for city council, please see the city clerk to sign up Monday through Friday, except on holidays, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at City Hall. The last day to sign up will be January 15th. Okay, moving over on now to old business. I'm going to defer now to Scott Ison.
On Bill 18-43, that's the ordinance on the PDD on Miller Road. On that ordinance, there has been a protest petition that has been filed by citizens here in the city. 30% or more of the individuals that have been certified by the city council have signed that petition. Therefore, under state statute and our ordinances, it's going to take a 2/3 vote today in order to pass that ordinance. Basically, that's going to take 6 votes today instead of a normal 5. So I just want to make council members aware of that fact.
Okay, I need a motion and a second for the second read of Bill 18-43.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Okay, passes 8-0.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, amending the zoning code and official map by changing the classification of approximately 5 acres located at 139 East Miller Road from medium-density single-family residential R1M to Planned Development District PDD, and the approval of the development plan for Miller Court Senior Villas PD 18-03.
I need now a motion and a second for final passage of Bill 18-43.
Motion. Second.
Do we have an overview?
Sure. This bill, if approved, would authorize would approve the planned development district for Miller Court Senior Villas, which would be a planned development district permitting a residential land use restricted to those residents age 55 and over. It includes provisions for off-street parking, screening and buffer yards on all 4 sides of the property. Also includes provisions for certain pedestrian facilities, and would include 40 residential units, which would result in a residential density of 8 dwelling units per acre, all of which would be restricted to a single story. The Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on this application and unanimously recommended approval. Staff is also recommending approval.
Does council have any question of Mr. Tyson? Okay, roll call vote.
Councilmember Franklin?
Aye.
Councilmember Duran?
Aye.
Councilmember Russell?
Aye.
Councilmember Dykeman?
Aye.
Councilmember Brashears?
No.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Self?
Aye.
Okay, vote passed 7-1. Okay, on to Bill 18-44. Need a motion and a second. Have the second read of this bill.
The applicant for this bill has asked that it be tabled tonight. He'd been out sick, and so he had reached out to me Friday and asked that we would consider tabling this bill tonight, so I just want to make that, if that's the council's direction.
Okay, if the council wants to table it, we'll need a motion and a second and a vote. If that would fail, then we'll have a vote on the bill as presented in your packet.
I'll make a motion to table.
Need to have a second?
Second.
Okay, you got it.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Okay, it'll be tabled by a vote of 8-0. That would be January 8th, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, on to Bill 18-45. I need a motion and a second, have the second read of Bill 18-45.
Motion. Second.
Okay, voice vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? 8-0. Okay, Brenda? I'm sorry.
Based upon some concerns that were expressed at the last council meeting, in your red folder, I have a proposed amendment that clarifies some of the language that was brought up at the last council meeting. If a member of the council wishes to make that amendment, there would need to be a motion and a second along with a vote on that amendment. Basically, the amendment would clarify that this only applies to handguns and shotguns. It would strike the word firearms using paragraph G, and replace that with handguns and firearms. Handguns and shotguns.
What's the council's pleasure on the amendment? motion, have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the amendment passes 8-0. Now we're back to the original bill. Yes, okay, Brenda.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, amending Chapter 215, Republic City Code Offenses, Article 6, Offenses Concerning Weapons and Firearms, Section 215.840, Weapons, Carrying Concealed, Other Unlawful Use, by amending Paragraph G, Subparagraph 3, to extend the sunset date for hunting in certain agricultural areas of the city.
Okay, I need a motion and a second now for the final passage of the amended bill 18-45.
Motion. Second.
Okay. Okay, roll call vote.
Councilmember Franklin?
Aye.
Councilmember Duran?
Aye.
Councilmember Russell?
Aye.
Councilmember Dykeman?
Aye.
Councilmember Brashears?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Self?
Aye.
Okay, amended bill passed 8-0. Moving on now to old business. Need a motion and a second, have the second read of bill 18-46.
Motion. Second.
Okay, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Okay, carries 8-0. Okay, we have an amendment also for this one.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. After the last council meeting, there's been some discussions as far as some possible amendments to this bill. Staff is recommending an amendment to this bill in order to add the language "paying off debt and other additional city services" and removing the words "citywide cleanup." It also clarifies the election notice and obligations that we're required to follow under statute. Again, in your red folders there, you will see a markup of the changes that have been made between the first reading and the second reading of that bill. If a council member wishes to make that motion to amend, we need that motion along with the second and a vote on the amendments.
Okay, do I have a motion and a second?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Okay, amendment passed 8-0. Okay, Brenda?
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, imposing a city sales tax to provide general fund expenses for the benefit of the city, including additional public safety resources to hire additional firefighters and police officers, improving public infrastructure, including City Hall, paying off debt, and other additional city services, calling an election in the City of Republic, Missouri on the question of imposing said sales tax, designating the time for holding said election, and authorizing and directing the city clerk to give notice to the county clerk of said election.
Okay. Before we have our final vote on this, does council have any question or comment?
I have a comment, Mr. Mayor. Of everything that I've seen in front of council, this has been one of the things that has made me concentrate and work the most, honestly. One thing that deeply concerns me about this is the fact that if this goes to voters and voters decide to pass this, our sales tax will be one of the highest in the county. And just from the makeup of our community between the seniors and everyone on a fixed income, this is a very large increase that's going to be coming from, their fixed income, the Social Security, and whatnot. And so I just have a lot of concern with what rate this sets us at and how this may affect our community and us being able to attract new business and how the businesses that are here are going to be able to compete with this with the surrounding communities. But so more of a statement that I would like to make is just a concern.
Others?
I have some concerns as well, in that I believe that the citizens of the Republic firmly want to support public safety personnel, police, fire, even through all city personnel. But I think that lumping everything together into the general fund, that if this passes this evening and goes to ballot, it will fail. I've had enough people call me this by far has been the largest phone call received for me since I've been on council. And I think that I'm not opposed at all to supporting our public safety personnel. I just believe that this bill, as it stands, will fail if it goes to citizenry, and there are other ways to do it.
Others?
I feel that, putting this in front of the people makes sense to allow them to vote yes or no. If he thinks it's going to go down, I mean, there may be others that think it may go the other way. So, I think putting it in front of the people to vote, that's the best thing that I feel that we can do.
I think I feel the same way. At least the citizens have a chance
To vote.
to voice their opinion. And whichever way it goes, it goes.
Yep.
One question. As, say you go to the store and buy $100 worth of groceries, and you're taxed at the current tax rate, how much more would that 1% add to that $100? Had anybody calculated that, or did you do?
$1.
$1.
It'd be a $1 more on a $100 purchase.
1% increase.
So that there, to me, doesn't sound like that much.
It's also important to remember that, food is taxed at a lower rate in the state of Missouri. So if you're talking specifically about food, it's a lower rate, but the entire city sales tax applies to that.
But 1% on $100 is not a lot. 1% on a $30,000 vehicle
It's 3,000.
is a lot. $300. And again, my only opposition to this is the fact that it groups in improvements to City Hall and other things that, we believe in. I firmly believe that as a council, as staff, that transparency is what we have to do and is what we put before the people. And while I believe, hey, we need to put it out there to let people vote on it, this feels a little strange to me because it does group so many things in together. If this was merely this is for, public safety personnel, and that, my comments would be much different than they are right now. I just think this has too much in it in a general fund tax. A 1% increase is a lot for that purpose.
Anyone else? Okay, I need a motion and a second for the final amended passage, or start that again. Motion and a second for the final passage of the amended bill 18-46.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Cameron, do you have anything else to add to it?
No, I mean, I believe that what we did and what we presented in the work sessions, I believe we put what we believe to be the best bill before you. And if given the consideration to the community, is what the objective is. I feel like it's very difficult to cut it into pieces and then go back and say we knew that there was other needs that we did not present. Therein lies the challenge, is which one do you choose, do you put in front of the community? And that was probably the most difficult part. It's not easy to put one in front of any community. I've been in government now for almost 25 years. These are not the easiest things to deal with. But we have a responsibility in my position to present what those are, pass or fail, is to make the community aware of what that is, and for our job to put the best foot forward to try to educate as to what those needs are. And so it has been it's been the most challenging one I've ever put together. And knowing what the position is and having only a couple $1,000s to deal with it, this building has almost $800,000 worth of needs right now, and we're sitting there taking apart at $75,000 a piece. That's just not a sustainable, well-used portion of the tax dollar. And so it's not been easy. It's probably like I said, probably the most difficult one. But I believe that presenting what we need to the community is a step that is necessary. And so we'll do our best. We're going to have 4 public meetings. We're going to have 2 Facebook Lives. We're going to use the expo to communicate what that is and try to do our best to put the message out there of what the need is and what the costs are long term, because this is not I will tell you, this is the piece that's very interesting, is if you look at those graphs and those charts and the information I provided, this is not the end-all, be-all, fix-all to everything. It's still gonna be a situation where as the community grows, we're gonna have to look at different things, because in Republic, we do not charge for personal property tax. Our residents do not pay that. We also do not have a fire district fee that we collect at 72 cents per $100. So when you look at those things, that's almost $3 million a year that our residents are not paying, the other communities are. So yeah, our sales tax will be higher, but our property tax and personal property tax is lower. And so I do believe once we get the message and compare those things, I think that's part of what our message will be. But I appreciate your consideration for this bill.
Any other comment before we vote? Okay, Brenda, roll call vote.
Councilmember Self,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson,
Aye.
Councilmember Jones,
No.
Councilmember Brashears,
Aye.
Councilmember Dykeman,
Aye.
Councilmember Russell,
Aye.
Councilmember Duran,
Aye.
Councilmember Franklin,
No.
Okay, bill carries 6 yes, 2 no. Okay, moving on to new business. Need a motion and a second at the first read, Bill 18-47.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Okay, carried 8-0. Okay, Brenda.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri to amend Title II of the Republic Municipal Code by repealing and replacing Section 240.010 fees.
On my list here, I have Jennifer Mayfield, but obviously you're not, so.
Mrs. Mayfield is at Shop with a Hero tonight.
Okay, very good.
Proud to do it. So each and every year, if we bring about changes to our fees, we bring these to City Council to be incorporated in the city code. Our staff takes fees very seriously, and our staff takes changes in fees, especially upticks in fees, very seriously. We try to provide the best possible product we can at the lowest possible price. Back on November 6th, however, this year, Proposition B brought about changes to minimum wage. I can tell you that affects our department greatly and will affect our department greatly moving forward. In 2019 alone, the change in minimum wage from $7.85 to $8.60 will mean about $29,000 in additional payroll expense. And over the course of the next 5 years, all the way through 2023, where the minimum wage will go to $12, that amount is equal to about $238,000. So it's a big chunk for us. It's something we're going to have to offset through our user fees. So beginning in 19, the things we've identified, and obviously the area hit the most, is the Aquatic Center. So if you look at your handout there, in aquatics alone, our payroll will be increasing from the minimum wage increase by approximately $23,000 by the time you add in payroll taxes and work comp. So the suggestion, the proposal for 2019 will be to up the daily admission by $1. That's for residents and non-residents. That should bring in, depending on kind of year, we have another roughly about $25,000. Now, we have kept season prices, the season pass prices the same. Hopefully our residents will be able to purchase those to maybe potentially avoid the daily admission rate hike. But that is the main one brought to you before tonight. The other one is the gate admission fee for all of our athletics, mostly youth, but for adult softball as well. You have to pay $1.50 to get into the facility, but that rate will go up to $2. So with those two main ones, and there's a few other minor ones there as well, we'll be able to offset the increase in minimum wage for 19. But I do want to go ahead and set the tone going forward that for each and every year that this goes up, I or someone else will be back up raising user fees. Now, we are technically exempt from this minimum wage going up, but regionally, competitively, workforce, it's something we're probably just going to stick with as far as the going rates. But to go from $7.85 to $12 in 5 years, we've got some challenges ahead of us. So,
Council questions for Mr. Healy?
Being to other areas and seeing their rec departments and even the downtown Y, you see all sorts of sponsorships and everything else, and so we have done a good job of keeping ours nice, clean, crisp look, and I know that the gate fees are, I think, lower than what the other areas are.
they are as of now. They will be right on par level in 19, though. Right.
Which I assume, though, that they're all going to feel the same. I mean, they're gonna see the same increase that we are, so I still think that we'll be at or below, so.
Yeah, KY3 did a piece with the Nixa Parks Department over the weekend talking about the same thing. It was about $22,000 for them in 19, where it's 25-ish, 28-ish for us, so. We are and have been and still are the largest employers of high school age children in the community. So, and they like to work for us. So the wage isn't a huge deal for them. They actually enjoy working for us. But to stay competitive, we're going to have to probably stay right with the minimum wage amount. So.
Jared mentioned about kids liking to work for the rec center, and I can vouch for that. It's unbelievable to kids that you probably could cut their wages, I shouldn't say this. They probably would still work there. But it's a fantastic place to work. The supervision is excellent. So my hats off to you and you guys while you do there. The kids do love to work there. They really do. Speak from experience. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, this is a first read, so if you have any questions, see Jared between now and the next second read.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on now to Bill 18-48. Any motion and second have the first read of this bill?
Motion.
Second. Okay, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Okay, 8-0, passed. Brenda.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, approving the final plat of the Monte Cristo Phase 4 subdivision.
Sorry. This bill would approve the final plat for the Monte Cristo Phase 4 subdivision and would final plat 17 medium-density, single-family residential lots. Once the final plat, if approved, is recorded, the owner will be able to sell those lots and building permits can be issued at that point.
Okay. Questions, comments? Okay, again, first read, so if you have a question, give the people in the meantime. Thank you. Okay, I need a motion and a second to have the first read of Bill 18-49.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Okay, passed 8-0.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, amending the charter for the City of Republic, calling an election in the City of Republic, Missouri on the questions of amending the charter, designating the time for holding said election, and authorizing and directing the city clerk to give notice to the county clerk of said election.
Mr. Ison.
I prepared a short PowerPoint presentation to kind of give you guys an overview of the proposed changes to the charter.
Oh, sorry, we're in the way.
You know, it's important to remember what our charter is. I always tell people when they ask about our charter is like a constitution. The Constitution is a living, breathing document, but it also sets out those fundamental rights that certain governmental entities live by. And that's what's important to remember about our charter. It's our Constitution. The minimum standards that we live by are set in that charter. We don't propose everything in the charter because then there'd be no need for ordinances or resolutions, but we set forth those minimum standards that we do not want taken away. Because it's important to remember, a charter has to be amended by a vote of those citizens. It's not something that council members can just vote on to make a change to. It has to be voted on by the citizens. A charter in Missouri is actually established under the Missouri Constitution. A lot of times I paraphrase what's written in the Constitution because it makes no sense, but in this case they actually did a really well job writing what a charter is. And it starts with any city which adopts or had adopted a charter for its form of government shall have all the powers of the General Assembly of the state of Missouri that has authority to confer. That's the most important part and that's what makes our city work, is we don't have to have the authority that is actually given to us under state statutes for us to work under. We actually have the authority, because of our charter, to do anything that the General Assembly has the power to confer upon us. And that's what makes us different than most other cities. There's very few cities in the state of Missouri that actually have a charter. I believe it's less than 50 cities right now in Missouri. But it's important for our city to move forward is because we can do more things than other cities can do. A fourth-class city, for instance, can only do what's specifically allowed under state statute. But us being a charter city, we're allowed to do anything that the General Assembly could allow us to do, as long as we're not in conflict with what the General Assembly has already put out there. And that's very, very important, and that's why our city works the way it does work. Court cases have basically said a charter gives the citizens of a city the broad power to tailor the form of government that is in their best interest. Again, that's important to remember. It allows us to tailor the form of government that we believe is best for us, not some state legislators somewhere else who believe that they can tell us what is appropriate for our city. Again, that's probably the reasons why this charter was initially developed back in 2007. It's also important to remember, as I pointed out, that charters are adopted and amended through the vote of the citizens. That's why it's important to only put in those fundamental rights, because if you put more in there, you can't make changes to it like you can an ordinance. These are changes that have to be lived by and survived by until there's another vote of the people. A brief overview of Republic's charter. It was adopted by a vote of the citizens on April 3rd of 2007. Our charter has never been amended since its adoption. Usually charters are amended about every 10 years or less. Obviously ours is going on 12 years now without an amendment, and that's why it's important to relook at our charter frequently to see if there's any changes in our form of government or any things that need to be changed in the charter. In our charter, in section 12.7, it allows the city council to propose amendments to the charter. And that's the proposals before you today in this ordinance, is proposals to amend the charter. Once those proposed amendments are approved by an ordinance of the city council, the amendments can then be voted on by citizens of the city. And if a majority of the qualified voters in the city approve the amendments so approved will become part of the charter. If they're not approved, they will not become part of the charter. And that's why when you look at the ordinance that's before council today, you'll see 8 separate questions in there. We can't just lump everything into one and say, here it is, vote on it as a whole. We have to break it down into certain sections that are related to one another in order for the citizens to say yes or no on those specific amendments. Again, if a specific amendment is approved, it becomes part of our charter. If a specific amendment is not approved, it does not become part of our charter. And you'll see that as you go through the ordinance with the 8 different questions in there. A few of the proposed changes, again, this is not all. There's a larger list in the exhibit along with the red line version that you have in your packet as far as the changes to the charter. First of all, we're clarifying the residency requirements of elected individuals. There were a few issues that I saw in there dealing with remaining a qualified voter, things along those lines, which obviously we want to make sure our elected officials remain qualified voters of the city and qualified voters of the ward to which they're in. There's also a prohibition on elected officials from holding incompatible offices. Again, that's clearing up some language in our charter as it is dealing with incompatible offices. There's also an addition prohibiting elected officials from dictating the appointment or removal of a city employee under whom the city administrator is empowered to appoint. Again, that's an important part of our charter. Our charter was set up to have a city administrator form of government in there, so there has to be specific limitations in there as far as how our city operates under a city administrator form of government. Also, the next one is providing for a forfeiture of office if a council member willfully violates the personal financial section. This should have been in there from the beginning. It's a part of the mayor's section, but for some reason it was left out in council member's section. So again, this is just clarifying and cleaning up some language that should have been in there probably in the first place. Changing the term of the mayor and council members to 4 years. This is probably one of the major changes that we're proposing in this charter amendment as it stands here today. That will be a separate question that goes to the voters, but that will be a change from 2 to 4 years, and they will gradually be phased in at each election starting in 2020. Repealing the power of the mayor pro tem to exercise the power to cast tie-breaking votes and also veto while acting as the mayor is another proposed amendment. We also need to clarify the effective dates of ordinances and resolutions. That was something that just was not there in our first charter that we need to clarify when these become effective, if there is a veto, when the veto becomes effective, or when an override becomes effective. Again, just clarifying some language in our charter. Some other changes are allowing the use of simultaneous electronic display for random voting. Right now, it just requires random voting. If we want to proceed in the future with having some type of an electronic display dealing with voting, this will allow us to go that route. We're also going to be requiring proposed ordinances to be published electronically. We all know in this day and age, a lot of people do stuff electronically. This will require the city in order to put these electronically so citizens can see what's going on without having to worry about coming to City Hall or getting copies of documents. It also provides for a council override of a mayoral veto on resolutions. This was one of the first things I saw when I joined the city is, although council can override a veto of the mayor when it comes to an ordinance, for some reason, resolution is missing. Therefore, council cannot override the mayor on a resolution. Again, that's something that needs to be clarified and put in there in our charter. Eliminating the position of the city clerk as an appointed official is another one. Requiring city elections to be nonpartisan. They're already nonpartisan now, but it was never written in our charter that they had to be nonpartisan. Disallowing a person from filing as a candidate for 2 city offices at the same time in the same election. Again, this was something that was missing from our charter, so somebody could apply to become mayor and also a council member at the same time. Obviously, that's not in the best interest of the city to have one person filing for multiple offices, another thing that's just cleaned up in our charter. Allowing the right-of-way use to be consistent with applicable state and federal laws in order to protect the public interest. Right-of-way is becoming a lot more important. We've tackled that issue when I first joined the city, and we have to continue to tackle that. And this will allow us, as long as we're complying with state and federal law, we can use our right-of-ways to protect the public interest. And the last one is clarifying the initiative, referendum, and recall process. Again, this was a major overhaul to our charter, basically clarifying it for our citizens when they can use these processes, clarifying what committees have to be, how they have to be formed, how the affidavits are done, just making it a lot clearer for our citizens and for the city in order, if we do have one of these, in order for them to happen, as long as setting out the timeline for these to happen also. Again, these are the major proposed changes. There's a more complete packet of changes in your exhibit, and also the red line version is there with all the changes I made. As far as the changes that were made, I did extensive research on other cities that have charters. I also looked at other cities that have formed committees to review their charters. I've looked at what they proposed, what they did not propose, what the findings were, along with the charters in and of themselves, and spent a significant amount of time trying to whittle down what needed to be in our charter, what did not need to be in our charter, in order to make it that fundamental document that will serve us for the next 5 or 10 years. So those are the documents that you see in front of you here today.
Council questions?
Thanks for your time on that. I'm sure that was not a short evening or day on that one, so.
It was not short weeks, I'll put it that way on that, so.
Anyone else? That's yours, Brenda.
That would be mine.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, this again is the first read, so see Mr. Eisen if you have a question for the second read. Okay, moving on now to the next bill here. I need a motion and a second to have the first read of Bill 18-50.
Motion. Second.
Okay, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Okay, carried 8-0.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, amending the Republic City Code, Title VII, Utilities, Chapter 705, Administration, by amending Sections 705.050 and 705.120.
Ms. Parks?
Good evening. As you're aware, we have been working for a little while on a new software implementation. When we started this endeavor, there was a lot of different things we needed to research. Some of them were staffing levels that we looked at in the utility department. We looked at processes that were kind of antiquated, and we also looked at the future growth of the city. In examining all of these, we decided to go ahead and split the city into 2 billing cycles that better utilized this current staff that we had and allowed for better time management and processes and more accuracy throughout the month. Because of these changes, we are now having to look at our current ordinances that are in place and propose some new changes. In addition to the changes due to the due dates that we'll address in a second, we also looked at 3 other areas. One of them was something that came alight as we started doing the installation 2 weeks ago. Some of the processes and functions, capabilities that the software have are currently different. And then we found some additional features that we had never even thought of that we have available to us now. But looking at all of those, we decided to bring the ordinance all at one time to you for consideration instead of piecemealing at different meetings. So the first proposed change is instead of having a specific day mentioned in the ordinance like we currently do, it currently says the 10th. Obviously, we need two new dates mentioned. We decided to give flexibility because as we've discovered recently, things can happen. And if you don't have flexibility, then you're stuck and tied to a specific day. These days can fall on a weekend, they can fall on a holiday. We've had bad weather, implemental weather, which can delay things. And also with short staff, you don't always have backup. So if you have illness going through your department, you have no wiggle room. Or as we discovered 2 months ago when that we had a delay in the bills, our machinery broke and we had to outsource quickly. So by leaving the language in the ordinance to say due date contained on the bill, the citizens will know the due date on their bill. The due date will be communicated on the website, but we're striking the exact day. The due date will be constant unless there is an issue like one of the ones I just mentioned, but it would give us a little bit more flexibility so we're not violating an ordinance if there is something unforeseen. Something else that is changing, we're then going to set the delinquent date or the shut-off date to 10 days after the due date. This is actually an increase of 5 days for citizens. The current ordinance basically has the shut-off day 5 days after the due date, which is a very quick turnaround. So if someone can't scrape up the money, they now have additional 5 days. The city is going to get their money one way or the other. We'll shut off their accounts, but it does allow for 10 days. And so what this allows is if there is a situation and the bill is late, the citizens are not penalized. It gives them more flexibility and gives them more time to turn around and make the payment. The other issue is that on the sewer side, after 3 months of water usage, if they elect to have averaging, we now have the ability to look at their bill and see if they're actually using the set average that we've determined. If it's less, we have the ability to adjust the average down to what they're actually using. This is a big benefit for the citizen, something that we didn't have, that wasn't easily done in our old software. And then the third proposed change is something due to a different system, the Tyler system itself. It prorates, so when a new customer comes or a person leaves, their bill is automatically prorated. Our old system did not have that ability, so therefore our ordinance said we charged a flat fee regardless. There has been concern and discussion, so I just wanted to clarify in the first read that the people, if, for example, if someone goes and waters all night, they will be charged a flat fee plus their actual, they'll be charged their actual usage, so they'll be actually getting everything. The city will not be losing money. So those are the 3 main changes to the ordinance that we're proposing. The fourth little thing is we cleaned up a few shalls. Shalls are absolute in legal language that Scott pointed out for us. This just allows a little bit more flexibility in that area. And I will be happy to answer any questions.
Anyone, questions, comments? Okay, thank you, David. Again, it's a first read, so see Ms. Parks if you have questions. Okay, moving on now to other business resolutions. Resolution 18-R-37, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, approving the 2019 City Council and other 2019 meeting dates. I need a motion and a second to pass the resolution.
Second.
Okay.
This is the calendar meeting dates for 2019, and in this list, we have taken into consideration holidays and also items that come up yearly, like, for instance, the budget, the setting of the tax levy, and we have automatically changed those dates. In the past, we've just changed them as we get there. This will allow the citizens to have a look ahead to see when those dates will be.
Any questions for Brenda? Okay, Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Passed 8-0. Okay, resolution 18-R-38, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to execute a first change order for the Hines and Oakwood transportation improvements. Mr. Nelson.
Good evening. As you go through a construction project, you often find there's some things that don't work out as good as they did on the paper. So we're cleaning that up a little bit, and part of that is some design changes that we just feel are better for drainage, a better overall product for the city. And the second part is looking forward to the future. With that goal of having sidewalk on both sides of Hines, we needed to modify the slope of the outside of the roadway itself. So in order to get that done, we eliminated some things and added some things. The overall change to the contract was about $37,000, just over $37,236.12. The city's obligation will be 20%, or $7,447.22. Part of the process with a job that involves federal funds is that change order has to go through MoDOT first. So you'll see in front of you that change order has actually been authorized by MoDOT as well.
Okay, questions of Mr. Nelson? Okay, I need a motion and a second to pass the resolution.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Passed 8-0. Okay, resolution 18-R-39, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the Public Works Department to apply for a federal TAP grant for the purpose of constructing sidewalks connecting the Highway 174 trail to the sidewalks along Hines Street. Okay, I need a motion and a second to pass this resolution.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, I'll over to you, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you. We were made aware through the OTO that federal funding was going to be allocated to the local public agencies for projects involving trails and sidewalks. There was a first round of applications, and the message was that some of those applications didn't qualify, so they extended the period. We came up with a project that I think utilizes federal funding really well. Actually, it'll connect, if you're familiar with the 174 trail where it ends, just to the west of the railroad tracks, around, it'll go past the railroad tracks, cross 174 near the Orshlands driveway. It'll continue around, following 174 and then 60 and tying back into Hines. As we start to look at our community and connectivity of the sidewalks, and I mentioned it even in the Hines and Oakwood project, for me it starts where the heart of the city is, so we need to connect the middle and then work our way out, and this I think is a crucial piece to that. What you see before you took a lot of work, and I want to give all the credit to Garrett Brickner, who's not here tonight. I wanted to put him up here for the first time with this because he put in all the work and really drove the application. Anytime you can leverage basically free dollars with local dollars to get a big project done, I think it's a good thing. So we have an estimate right now. We won't know exactly what the obligation will be until the funds are awarded, if awarded by OTO. The total of the entire project being $442,066, of which the city would be responsible for $88,413. In our SISTs on our capital improvement sales tax, we have allocated about $110,000 for sidewalk projects. So that's where we're pulling that funding from. If approved, I want to mention also that the school has agreed to partner. We don't know exactly in what amount just yet. One of the scoring criteria is based on the number of partners you have. So any partnership really is a step forward in getting awarded the application. Minimum participation would be 1% or 4,420 at this time.
Okay, any questions? Mr. Nelson? Yes.
What's an MSE wall?
So the technical term is mechanically stabilized earth wall, basically a retaining wall.
Okay.
Under the railroad, what it'll look like is basically a concrete wall holding the slope back so that the sidewalk can pass through. The goal would be to be minimally invasive to anything to do with the railroad.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Nelson, the crosswalk here where it's crossing 174, is there gonna be like a crosswalk for pedestrians there where they can push a button, or is that just gonna be painted lines on 174?
So that as you know, 174 belongs to MoDOT, so that's going to be a process we'll work through with them. We'll push for the most lights and signals that we can get to make it as safe as possible.
Anyone else? Okay, those in favor of passing the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Passes 8-0. Okay, resolution 18-R-40, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, adopting an updated emergency operation plan for the City of Republic, Missouri. Okay, I need a motion and a second for passage.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Hollingworth.
Good evening. The Emergency Operations Plan is simply a guideline in a time of disaster or a severe emergency. The current plan was adopted and revised in 2014. They're normally done every 5 years. This new one, for some of you that have been here for some time, if you look through the plan this one is replacing, you will notice that it is 142 pages shorter. And that is part of the new national framework. And if you'll see in there that there's a lot of hierarchy in how we work and fit into the county, into the region, into the state, and then through our reimbursements with the federal government. It shows how the accountability of the resources are done. It also shows flow charts how our staff and our current leaders that run the city on a daily basis will fit into those positions to lead us through any type of emergency or major disaster declaration. It uses what's called a emergency support function. This is a lot different than what we had in the past where we talked pages and pages on direction and control. Direction and control is done through flow sheets, and the fact that basically everyone's going to be doing the same thing they do on a daily basis. They're using their expertise to lead the city in an emergency situation. So it's not anything dramatically changing. All our leaders are just put into a little different format, and we focus on one task.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine.
Do you have more to add? Okay.
No, that's good.
Questions, council?
Who owns this document? Is this something, Lenny, that you?
This document is a guide,
Okay.
and it becomes part of the city when you adopt it in this resolution. Ownership through it is basically owned by the Emergency Management Office. We're the one that's tasked with preparing it. Some of these things were sent out to different departments for some feedback on it. Most of it is pretty straightforward because every one of the departments sees, when they look at this, they see, well, this is what we do. This is the part we do. And so that usually eliminates a lot of the confusion. The old plan was pretty difficult. Honestly was. There was so much federal jargon in it back in the day that sometimes we had a confusion as to what we really did. Everybody thought they had to completely change their whole aspect when they came to work in the Emergency Operations Center. And that's not the case at all. Everybody plays to their strengths. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you very much. Those in favor of passing the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions? Passes 8-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Resolution 18-R-41, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the renewal of the agreement with the Bank of Missouri to provide depository and banking services. Need a motion and a second to pass this resolution?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Parks.
The Bank of Missouri is the City of Republic's primary banking institution. We have had a contract with them. This is an annual renewal. We have examined our relationship with them. We have 3 current accounts that we hold with them. One is where account for our credit card revenue. One is the primary operating account, and the third account is a bond account. In examining our relationship with the bank this year, we decided to not go out to bid for a new banking relationship. Twice this year I met with different investment firms, and the commercial paper rate I was quoted was actually slightly lower than the amount of interest we were getting from the bank. So therefore I feel we have a very competitive rate currently from the Bank of Missouri. In addition, we've had 1 or 2 situations that came up throughout the year where we needed immediate help, and we were able to get excellent customer service where they gave us immediate attention and helped us with the current situations that we had. Because of those 2 issues, I feel very confident in recommending renewal of a 1-year agreement with the Bank of Missouri to, again, reevaluate at the end of next year to see if we're still in a good position with the bank. But this resolution would authorize the city administrator to sign a letter to extend the agreement for 1 more year.
Any questions for Ms. Parks? Okay, those in favor of passing the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions?
Abstention.
Okay, passed 7-0-1. Okay, tonight we don't have a financial report.
That's correct.
So next thing we report from staff. Mr. Cameron.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Job well done, as always. I just want to say, first and foremost, Garrett, congratulations on the new addition to your family. I know that that's a huge blessing, and I'm kind of sad that you had to be here tonight, but at the same time, I'm glad that you made the decision to support your employee as well and cover for him. So, but congratulations, man. It's a huge blessing. So, and this is our last meeting of the year. I just want to say that it's been an incredible year. I sent you some information the other day, just talking about the economic development and kind of how Republic was referenced. And I think back to when we first started, and you guys will remember the Garden Business Park, the original development agreement, and just all the work that kind of what's that going to look like? And even myself was like, this was something new for the community. But I just want to express how appreciative I am of a forward-thinking council and group that allows me and this city staff to function the way we do. And it can be very easy to have a lot of, hey, are you sure? And there's days that I would even ask myself that question. But I just appreciate all the forward thinking that we have and the things that we're doing as a community. I do not believe for 1 second we've even hit our stride. I feel like we still have a lot of work to do, a lot of progress that's in our future. And so it's been a very productive year. I just want to thank each and every one of you. I want to thank the staff. I want to thank the community for allowing us to do what we do every day. I've also provided in this packet, we got a letter from the OTO that does outline that our project is the top. There's information in your packet that our information is at the top of the project list. One thing that's worth noting is the OTO, or the MoDOT, has actually applied for federal funding to be applied to the Highway 60 project. So as if you recall, the last meeting we had to vote down or turn down a development on Highway 60 based upon transportation, and the key being transportation on Highway 60. And so for federal highway, for MoDOT to be asking for federal highway dollars to do that study when it wasn't even on the list, and now it's at the top of the list, they're actually looking to apply federal highway dollars. We're no longer talking about doing something in 2022 or 2023. We're talking about doing something in 2019. And so I commend MoDOT. I thank them for that work. But I think what goes to show is when we were identifying a problem with transportation, and we know that Highway 60 has a transportation issue at capacity at 113%, that we went to work on it relatively quickly. The last news I have is it was great to see that the OTC board today passed the bid for the new OTC Republic campus, which I met with them last Friday. They plan to start in January. They have a 440-day construction schedule, which means they'll be open for the fall semester of 2020. I believe the bid was $7.3 million, and it was awarded to Rich Kramer Construction. So looking forward to having that campus in our community. And I will say this, that we are working as an organization. Those that were here when that originally started and the city was going to build that campus, there was a lot of infrastructure improvements that were included that even after this measure passed, we still could not come up with the funding to build the street that was adjacent, that was required to be part of it. So thankfully, working with Garrett's leadership and with Andrew, held a meeting with the property owner adjacent to that. I do believe we're getting ready to come back to you with a development agreement where most likely they buy the materials and the city will install a street that will actually have a full turnkey street behind the new campus. As part of this, another development that we're working on, if you recall, the one along Miller Road that they wanted to build, didn't want to build the street first. I believe that development is going to come back to us. We're going to have Miller Road and that street going through to Frisco Boulevard and really do that right. So I think it just goes to speak that even though we have to make the tough decisions to say no sometimes, it does come back around to work in the best interest. So kudos to the staff and the work that's there, and congratulations to OTC. But just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So look forward to 2019.
There you go. As we go around the room different times, we'll say ditto, but it usually doesn't happen the second time, because usually it's fourth or fifth, and everything that we were going to say has already been said by the previous people. But I ditto what Mr. Cameron just said. I feel very blessed to be able to work with this group of people. I've been on the council different times, several years, and I know where these people's hearts are, and it's spot on, it's right on. I know what their intent is, and it's to serve the citizens of the Republic. And also the people that we have that work on staff here is unbelievable. We've had a great year, one of the best years, and maybe Gary can attest to it, and others that have been on the board before, but it's been a good year for us. And it all goes right back to staff. Any organization is no better than your weakest staff member. And gentlemen and ladies, put out to your people that work with you that we appreciate you so much. And also, Merry Christmas to everyone. And next year, I think will even be better than this year. John Jones, you've never been first.
Well, boy,
So we'll let you be first. That's because I'm not listening.
So many ways, Charlie. So many ways. So, well, I have to say something now.
Yeah, there you go. Don't say ditto.
Yeah, no, had a lot of citizen participation and questions and comments and suggestions over the last 2 to 3 weeks, and it's been phenomenal. What's great is just to establish the dialogue and to learn what people are thinking, and it helps to give me new perspective, and at the same time it allows me the chance to put something before someone else that may not quite have all the information. And so that's been really good. That's a takeaway that I've had over the last 2 weeks. Another thing, kind of on a side item, a friend of mine who lives in the St. Louis area made me aware of a city south of St. Louis who has decided to raise their, what am I trying to say, their licensing fee, their business fee, from a flat $1,000 a year. They changed it to incorporate the square footage of the facility applying for that license. And in one case mentioned, it went from $1,000 to $50,000. And it just screamed, wow, we really don't want your business here. And so Mr. Cameron, you'd be glad to know that I put it out there that anyone that would like to move to
Yes.
the wonderful city of Republic, manufacturing, and they were referencing manufacturing facilities, those would be the ones, distribution centers, manufacturing facilities, that would have the square footage that are really impacted by that. And I mean, $50,000 is big for anyone to try to pull out of the budget. We all know that. So we'll see.
Yeah.
That's all.
Mr. Wilson.
Well, I am glad that Mr. Cameron is here with the city. I appreciate him, his staff, and all the city employees, and I wish them all a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Mr. Self.
Ditto all around. I've got nothing to add.
Mr. Franklin?
It's been an incredible year. It's really hard for me to believe that 2018 is already over. And I've just really enjoyed my first year. It hasn't been a year yet, but I've really appreciated my first year and getting on council and learning from everybody at the city staff, city council. Everybody's just been terrific. And 2018 has been a really good year for me, and being here at the city has a lot to do with that. So I thank you very much for everybody and all of their hard work. Just hope that everybody has a very great holidays, and everybody that has to work during the holidays, first responders, thank you for keeping us safe. But happy holidays.
Mr. Ann?
It's been a wonderful year. I'm so thankful to serve the citizens of Republic. I'm so excited about the sidewalks. Like, I walk my dogs all over, so it'll be really nice to have that. Congratulations on your new addition. Staff has been amazing to answer questions, to respond to our citizens. I'm just super thankful for everybody who works for the cities. I'm going to ditto your first responders who are going to be working throughout the holidays. Make sure to keep them in your prayers, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Mr. Russell?
So my oldest son, he's 8, going to be 9 in a few weeks. He likes to, we go around the table at dinner time, we do shout outs, we say nice things about the rest of our family. Alex has a really hard time of saying something positive about other people. He always says things like, I really like it that mommy takes me to the store so I can buy things, or stuff like that. So I'm going to say something similar to my oldest son. I'm really thankful that I get to live in Republic and work with you people and the staff and the council. It's been eye-opening, and I'm selfishly saying thank you. Thank you for allowing me to do this. Merry Christmas.
Mr. Blackman?
Well, the fact of, especially this time, I mean, all year I've seen what the staff has done in reports and making up their reports and the studies and everything they do to get there. This emergency plan, I've read through it a couple of times. It's great. I'm glad to see we've got it with all of the staff this year with the Tyler implementation. It's been, I'm sure, a challenge to them because they have to work with what was, and the new is definitely, I'm sure, been worth it. But it is one of those things that I'm ending my first term on council, and I'll tell you, it's just been great of getting to know people and seeing how a city can work together and this group work together, because I think we've accomplished a lot. I feel 2019 is going to be far better than this year, and I'm looking forward to it. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Thank you all. Good news is we have no executive session tonight, so I would entertain a motion and a second to adjourn.
Charlie, can I request to speak to the council as a citizen, please? Ladies and gentlemen,
Steve, I'm going to interrupt you just for a minute. Cody. Could we do this at the next meeting?
Here's the thing, folks. I'm not going to come in here and yell and scream about anything. I just want to address the council. I, like Charlie, am a teacher, and I just like to address the council. I could have come in here, and when things didn't go right for me, I could have jumped up and yelled and screamed and made a lot of noise. I sat and listened to everybody as they went around and talked. I waited till the very end, and what I'm going to say is going to be peaceful.
Steve, I hate to interrupt you. I've known Steve forever, okay? But Steve, we'll need to wait till the next meeting at county before we have our discussion, when we have open session.
And I can do that. I can come to every meeting.
If you would do that, I would agree. I hate to set a precedent before we start doing this at the end.
I understand.
But if you can do that, I would really appreciate that.
What I was trying to do was just to get this taken care of now and talk about it now. I can come to every meeting while what everybody in here on council is on council for as long as you are on council. I can come to each and every meeting and speak at every one of those meetings. I was just trying to alleviate that.
I appreciate your thought, but if you can see us at the next citizen participation,
I will see you at every meeting, and what I will do is I'll try to get the opportunity to sit here on the council with you. I heard that people are gonna be having the opportunity to run for council. Now, hopefully, the thing that I don't have to do is run against Charlie, so I'll have to talk with Charlie to find out what I have to do to not run against him. But I'll be glad to address the council.
I appreciate that.
then every time.
Thank you very much. Okay, I would entertain a motion and a second to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Did we do it before? Maybe we did.
I don't know.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Abstentions. Okay, meeting adjourned.